Hey everyone, so over the last few months, I've been thinking a lot about car values and specifically the values of the Shelby GT350 and GT350R. Now, over about the last year or so, whether you're into cars or not, pretty much everyone is well aware that car prices are in a place we never would have expected to see them before. Whether you're talking about high-end sports cars, luxury cars, or just basic cookie cutter A to B transportation, everything is up to levels that just seemed impossible just a few years ago. People are paying over MSRP for just basic, normal transportation. Nothing special, nothing limited edition, nothing that you would have considered to be hard to get. So the values of cars are in basically uncharted territory for basically everything. Any type of car is in pretty much record level territory. Now, for people like me and you're a car enthusiast, you're well aware that virtually everything is up. No matter where it's from, the country of origin, the type of sports car, everything is up very, very high, higher than most people would have ever expected them to be in such a short period of time. So because of that, a lot of people are selling and getting out of cars pretty quickly because of these very fast price jumps, specifically GT350s and GT350Rs. Now, I've been seeing a lot of people debate about getting out of these things after owning them for a relatively short period of time because they're seeing how fast these cars have gone up in value. Now, typically, the conventional thinking for turnaround time on value of a car is in the neighborhood of about 20 years. That's where you expect the car to sort of bottom out in value and start to come back up. You know, sometimes it's a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more, but roughly in that neighborhood. Now, with some of the 350, 350Rs, and especially the Heritage models, you're seeing these cars turn around in value virtually immediately. And some of these cars you're seeing within a matter of a year or two, the values have turned around 25%, 50%, sometimes even double what they were brand new. They're selling for used only a couple of years later. Now, I really don't blame people for having sort of a knee-jerk reaction to say, I need to sell this car now. I'm basically going to be able to have the opportunity to own something like this for a year and 2 years and sell it and make a huge profit margin, something that you would have thought would have been impossible only a couple of years ago. So I don't blame people for wanting to get out. And there's a lot of reasons why people want to get out of cars. Financial reasons. Maybe you didn't like the car. You have other interests, business ventures. There's a limitless amount of reasons why you would want to get out of a car. But I think a lot of 350 owners who are looking to get into another sports car or something similar should really think twice before they rush out to sell their car and put together a game plan of what they really want to do. Now, if you don't follow cars and the car market very, very closely, some people are not aware that the emission standards in this country are changing very quickly. And in 2024, we're going to be on an all-new set of emission standards. And that means that a lot of the big horsepower, supercharged and turbocharged cars that are not fuel efficient are going to be impossible to be made by manufacturers and meet those regulations. So that means this is the end of the Hellcats. This is the end of the GT500s. Basically, all these cars with big supercharged engines, it's over. Now, this is the end of the line for cars like that. And electric cars and hybrid platforms are coming on faster than anybody thought. Only a few years ago, no one thought that they were coming this fast. Well, now they are. So a lot of people, when they sort of buy and sell cars and trade vehicles, they kind of have the mentality of, you know, they'll get rid of a car, maybe make some money, and they'll kind of go on to the next one. Well, depending on what your likes and what you're into, there may not be a next time, because if you're not into some of these hybrid and electric cars, this is it. This is kind of the end of the road for gas-powered cars. And V8s, not even supercharged, which regular V8s, they're talking may not even survive the end of the decade. And the other aspect of the 350s is the manual transmission. It's starting to look more and more like this is going to be the last manual transmission Shelby ever produced. So I think that anybody looking to get out of this car and get into something similar should really take a hard look at the market, look at how much you're potentially going to make. And if you want to get a new car, what is going to be available, and how much is it really going to cost you? Because if you rush, sell the car, say, I'm going to get something else, and then you kind of really start looking at what's available and how much it's going to cost, it might not be as good of a deal as it seemed to be at face value. Because I think probably by the end of the decade, you're going to be able to count on one hand the amount of cars that are still available with a manual transmission, that are fun sports cars that you're going to want to drive as a car enthusiast or a driving enthusiast. And V8s might be on that list as well. I mean, every year, some of the big car magazines produce the list of cars still available in manual transmission, and that list gets smaller every year. Now, I know we've gotten to a point where automatics are faster than manuals. DCTs are an incredible marvel of technology, but there's something to be said for the old school style of rowing the gears in a manual transmission. It may not be the most efficient way, but it's sort of a connection to cars that I think a lot of people appreciate. It's being involved in the driving experience that an automatic kind of doesn't really give you. So before people kind of rush out and just look at all the numbers that these cars are selling for, you should kind of look at, should you really do it in the long term? Because if you want to hold on to something like this for 10 years, 20 years, depending on how everything goes in the car market, you are going to have a really short list of cars that could potentially be replacing it. And I think gas-powered cars are going to get more and more expensive as time goes on. The collector level cars like this, you know, regardless of the manufacturer of the vehicle itself, people are starting to hoard cars like this because I think a lot of people are seeing the beginning of the end for the internal combustion engine. And people are well aware of this. They see the values going up very, very quickly. So even if you hold on to it for a longer period of time, I really don't think you're going to lose a lot of money. I mean, obviously there's always ups and downs in the collector car market, which is true for virtually every market. But I really don't think you're going to lose a lot of value. If you're somebody like me, I mean, I don't daily this thing. I mean, I've said this multiple times on my channel, but I try to put 1,000, 1,500 miles a year on it. I use it as my basically my day off car when the weather's nice. If I got to run errands, just driving around, I just enjoy driving this car. It's an incredible experience. Ford did an absolutely incredible job on this car. And if I keep this car for, 10 years, I'll probably have 10 to 15,000 miles on it. And this car will probably still be worth a lot of money, more than I paid for it. So I'm not really too worried about getting out of a car like this right away. So, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm trying to get a GT500 at this point, even though it's the same body style as the GT350, 350Rs, the drivetrain is dramatically different. And I think even though they're very similar in a lot of aspects, the driving experience is going to be very different. I've always wanted to have a very high horsepower, a very fast car like that, and I think a GT500 would be a great complement to my GT350R. So that's kind of my thoughts on this market right now. I think people are starting to really kind of get overly hyped about jumping out of these cars right away. Again, if you want to, for whatever reason it may be, by all means, it's completely up to you. But I think you should kind of do your research and plan on what you want to do long term before you get out of a car like this, because the opportunity may never present itself to get into a car like this again for a reasonable amount of money as time goes on. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.